So not only is Spider-Man finally reunited with the Venom symbiote, but he is stronger than ever, with even a little redesign and some new powers and abilities, as he participates in this Venom War. Now this is the Hero Informer, and let's get into it. So we initially begin and see the Venom symbiote by itself being in Peter's closet, as not only is the symbiote in trouble, but Eddie Brock and his son Dylan are looking to destroy him. So he goes to the one person he thinks he can trust, and somewhere nobody will look for it, and that place is none other than with Peter Parker. And with Peter eventually and begrudgingly accepting Venom's help to try and stop this war between Eddie and his son, the new symbiote Spider-Man is finally back. But this time there are certain rules set in place, as when he joins with Peter, he makes it explicitly clear they can bond but separate minds. Not how Venom would usually do with his host, eventually completely taking over and controlling him. But no, this time will be different, as they head out getting ready to defend the city against the other symbiotes in this symbiote war. And we see Spider-Man continue to swing around the city while talking to the Venom symbiote about the current events going on. In which, living on Marvel's Earth would be insane because it seems like everything is happening all the time. I'm not exactly sure where this particular event falls in the timeline, but the Earth just got taken over by vampires, and now there is a little symbiote war going on too. But as Spider-Man is just swinging about, getting used to this new feeling of being back in black and the cool factor of it all, suddenly something very interesting happens, as you see his spider sense goes off. No, not because there is danger or anything nearby, but Peter says it's more like it was an echo, memories, nostalgia, as he suddenly gets flashbacks of all the times he was with the Venom symbiote, or even fighting against it. But as his little moment passes and he comes down from his little trip down memory lane, he then says something very interesting. As you see, he says his spider sense, for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure when or how this happened, but he says lately it has been completely useless and hasn't been working correctly. And because of this, he tells Venom to let him know if he sees anything trying to murder him. And of course, with Spider-Man saying that, he jinxes it as Venom alerts Spider-Man that there is danger, because we see the Hobgoblin back, catching Spider-Man off guard due to the whole wonky spider sense issue, while using their glider to pick up Spider-Man and fly him across the city. But this goblin, and goblins plural that we might even see, aren't who you think they are, as Peter himself even goes on to ask if this person is Ned Leeds or Roderick Kingsley, two of the previous identities of the Hobgoblin. But as it's revealed and the mask is taken off, it is neither. It is seemingly some random woman. A woman who seems to be not in control of her own actions, with her even going on to say, "I can't feel my legs and I cannot control the glider. A mysterious person took me and others like me into the dark and changed us." As she continues to go on to scream, "Help me." But there is little she or Spider-Man can do in the mere seconds that the glider takes to slam into the side of a building, blowing up and killing the woman. And in the aftermath of this pretty decent sized explosion, we see Spider-Man survive and intact, but albeit he is knocked unconscious. And as he is free falling, we see the symbiote start to take control, start to speak to Peter, telling Peter and motivating him, saying that the woman, while yes, she was lost, whatever this new attack has just started, other innocent people are at stake. So Peter, you have not earned your rest yet. Fully covering Peter back into the symbiote, getting ready to figure out what this entire issue is, as this seems to be another wrench thrown into the whole situation, completely separate from the whole Eddie and his son drama, or so it would seem. But for now though, they need to figure out the issue of the Hobgoblin, or goblins, as it turns out, and it is revealed that there is not just one, no, but dozens of clones, replicas, copycats, whatever you want to call it, but dozens of Hobgoblins all the same, with pumpkin bombs and gliders getting ready to gang up on Spider-Man and of course try to beat him to death. But maybe not all of them are fake, as when one of them speaks up, Spider-Man recognizes the voice as Roderick Kingsley, one of the original identities of the Hobgoblin. And with that, the battle is now on. One Spider-Man versus an entire small army of goblins. And as they start to fight and continue their battle, Spider-Man then brings up a point of how did he even know where he was to ambush him? But it seems like this Hobgoblin isn't working alone, because as he goes on to say, Spider-Man has many enemies, and some in high places, who can track and see you through eyes in the sky, and has fed Hobgoblin this information. And whoever this enemy in high places is, also supplied the Hobgoblin innocent civilians to brainwash and turn into his little mini goblin army. With even the Venom symbiote going on to say, the Hobgoblin has used some kind of mind control. He can taste it. And Spider-Man goes on a joke saying, "Is that because you still eat brains?" Venom says yes, as Spider-Man replies, "Well, in this particular case, that is still off limits, buddy." And of course Venom does say fine and agrees to this, but only because he called him buddy, which is pretty cool to see even after all this time, Venom and Spider-Man actually getting along for once and not butting heads or clashing of interest like they might have done in the past. But no, it's like an old glove. Yeah, they have been separated for some time, but when brought back together, they still fit together all the same. Unfortunately, they don't have much time to deal with this new relationship almost, as a Hobgoblin throws in a good pumpkin bomb, blowing them both up. Unfortunately for Kingsley, this explosion does nothing but anger Peter even more, as this time he lunges back into the battle. It seems he is more angry this time, frustrated, and because he is in a fight, he now has a way to vent his emotions. As you can even see it in the way he is fighting, going in for more close quarter combat and direct strikes, even going as far to web his glider, slamming him and blowing it up. And keep in mind, he was still on the glider, and to my knowledge, I'm not sure Roger Kingsley is enhanced in any sort of way. He was just an old man, and no way is an average person even surviving this. But more importantly, we do see Peter is reckless, as the symbiote itself goes on to point this out, telling Peter that you're getting reckless, angry, I can feel it. And of course, who wouldn't be? As Peter says Hobgoblin is bad enough, but how does he even save hostages that are trying to kill him simultaneously? But this exact mindset and dilemma is what Hobgoblin and his enemies are betting on. His obsessiveness to save everyone. And of course, this little obsession, for better or for worse, being almost an integral part of Peter's character, his nature to at least try to save everyone, using his great power with all the responsibility that comes with it. He tells a Venom symbiote, you think that's going to change just because I'm wearing different jammies, wearing the black suit? But no, the symbiote goes to correct him, with it going on to say, Peter, I have become more than just jammies, I have become steel. As you see it literally change and morph itself into a completely new redesign with even some upgrades. Specifically in this fact, he now has steel chains instead of webs. And how exactly is this an improvement, and what else could he do? We don't know for now, but all we do know is this now seemingly upgraded black suit Spider-Man is even more of a force to be reckoned with than he was before. As we even see this reflect in the battle, him getting back into the swing of it, but now with even more grace, being even more agile, taking out multiple Hobgoblins non-lethally with utter ease. And as they are doing such, the Venom symbiote is speaking to Peter in his mind, telling him that you're not alone anymore. We are back. We are together. And we are. But before he can even say the iconic "We are Venom" line, it seems like Kingsley himself is back, showing up behind Peter, who still at this point doesn't have his spider sense, so he isn't warned of this attack and is actually hit, tanking multiple bombs and explosions to the face, plummeting him to the ground. But of course, knowing Spider-Man, this little setback isn't going to deter him, as even though he's a little hurt right now, he gets right back up, trying to defend these innocent mind-controlled people from hurting themselves, or of course him. As he goes on to chain web multiple people, saying how they are still on the clock. They are saving people, and they are not giving up. They are Spider-Man, which is a nice twist on the iconic "We are Venom" line, just showing you how more synchronized Peter and the Venom symbiote are now. But unfortunately for Spider-Man, as he is in his vulnerable position, Kingsley uses this opening to try and launch one final coordinated attack, signaling every goblin from the dozens on the battlefield to throw every pumpkin bomb at once, every projectile. And as they connect and explode, we see the explosion is powerful enough to light up multiple city blocks, with this new black suit symbiote Spider-Man in the center of it all. And as the dust finally clears, we do see Spider-Man. We also see two very interesting things of note. One, it seems like Spider-Man is in some kind of bubble, some kind of protective shielding. Of course, not of his own doing, as we also see somebody else there with him. And this someone else being none other than Jackpot, who, if you didn't know, is Mary Jane's new superhero identity. Which, I mean, yeah, that's exactly how it sounds. Mary Jane is now a superhero herself. No, she doesn't have any superpowers per se like Spider-Man, but instead she uses technology from another dimension that relies on probability and luck. And if her luck is good, she can essentially alter reality, warp reality, giving herself different abilities and powers such as the shielding that protected Spider-Man. And yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan, but I mean, it's interesting and could be cool. Moreover though, we see them after getting up and collecting their bearings. Both of them, or should I say all three of them now, Spider-Man, the Venom symbiote over Spider-Man, and Mary Jane, or Jackpot, jump into the battle once more. And here we understand a little bit of, well, relationship drama. Peter's relationship with Mary Jane obviously being strained because they're not together anymore, and Venom's relationship with Peter and Mary Jane, with Mary Jane not really liking the Venom symbiote. But because both of them are superheroes now, they are forced to put all this behind them and not let it get in the way to continue saving lives. And while the heroes are doing what heroes do, we then cut over to a meeting room in Alchemex, where we see a man looking over the chaos of the city, a man named Meridius. Now, who exactly he is a little bit more confusing, as technically he is a future version of Eddie Brock, but for now, just know that he is a bad guy doing bad guy things, and specifically wants the death of current Eddie, and especially Venom and the other symbiotes, with Spider-Man, as always and most times, just being in the crosshairs and in the way. As we even see this man go on to say, the Venom symbiote back with Peter, so predictable. Here I am outthinking you. outplaying you and even outmaneuvering Spider-Man. The only thing I'm going to enjoy more than watching this thing wreck your world is killing your little friend. As we see this man Meridius press a button on a small device, which as we will shortly see has grave consequences. Because as we move back over into the city and see Spider-Man and Jackpot finally cleaning up the rest of the Hobgoblins, we then see something start to take over the remaining Hobgoblins and Kingsley specifically, some kind of black goo, almost like a symbiote itself, but as I said is taking over and corrupting every goblin. As we see the dozens of goblins, this little mini army, all start to be drawn together and pulled into one being, as it morphs into a giant spider or squid hybrid, calling itself Arachniote, completely towering over Spider-Man and Jackpot. And of course, just looking at this thing, it is no good, but it gets even worse because Venom, the symbiote, recognizes it, going on to say he thought this thing was impossible. He thought it was only a legend. How the Arachniote is powerful and nothing has ever survived its touch. It was a being feared by even Null himself, which in and of itself is a crazy feat and statement because Null was out here killing and enslaving Celestials. And because they are up against this grave threat, Venom decides to finally lock in and tell Spider-Man what needs to happen. Because if they're going to even have a chance against this new creature, Venom cannot just be his costume. He cannot just be along for the ride with Spider-Man. No, they must finally complete the bonding process. Peter must fully embrace being Venom's host. Their minds will be completely remade into one. They must be together. They must become Venom, which is technically the one thing Peter didn't want before, but of course, seeing this grave danger and threat, Peter might have no choice but to accept Venom's plan. And how this grave danger might play out further into the Venom War, we don't know yet as this issue comes to a close, as does this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like. Also make sure to leave all your thoughts and comments down below. I would love to talk to you guys about it. If you liked or enjoyed this video, subscribe and turn post notifications on. Now this was the Hero Informer, and thank you for watching.